everybody. You're listening to... Wait, I gotta start over.
Why? Just keep going.
Hi, everybody. This is a quickie with Miss B. Miss B. Today is Wednesday, Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Mike. Anyway, so this week we're just doing funny random stories, and once again, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so
yeah, about that.
My dad never listens to any of these.
Yes, special moments in our lives. We're airing these so that you can laugh at us.
Yep.
This is our sacrifice for you.
That's for sure. So yeah, school what? Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong list.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah. Okay. So today, funny random stories. Here's my story. I'm telling on my dad. I hope he listens.
Father Richie, how are you?
So there's this time where my dad was working a lot, and he was working quite a few hours of overtime and stuff, and he was pretty tired. So this one particular night, he came home, and he likes to boil hot dogs. That's how he likes to cook his hot dogs. It's just a thing with them. So anyways, he's boiling these hot dogs, and he goes and sits down on the couch waiting for his hot dogs to get cooked and falls asleep.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So now this was before we actually had smoke detectors in our house.
And the countdown begins.
Right. So he falls asleep. All the water evaporates out of the pan, and the hot dogs start to burn. Yeah. And as they're burning, it's giving off this wonderful smoke smell in the house.
The aromatic smell of burnt weenies.
So my mom, at the time, who has a very keen sense of smell, wakes up to it, and she thinks the whole house is on fire. So she's waking me and my brother up. We come running down the stairs, and with all this commotion, my dad was so exhausted that he did not wake up. How do you not hear everybody screaming and stuff? So we came downstairs, we go in the kitchen, and sure enough, here's what's left of burnt hot dogs in the pot. Turn up the stove, start opening up the windows, airing everything out. By this time, it's like, I don't know, 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, my heavens.
My dad finally wakes up and he's like, what the heck's going on? And he's getting ready to yell at me and my brother for being out of bed because it's so late at night. And then my mom comes around the corner. And
surprise! Remember when I told you to stop boiling hot dogs? Let's talk, shall we?
So yeah, for once in my life, it wasn't me getting in trouble. It was my dad.
Did he keep boiling hot dogs after that?
You know, come to think of it, I don't remember a time when he did boil hot dogs, but if he did, he was wide awake and in the kitchen watching them. He got such a scolding from my mom. It was just funny.
See, now my dad's the kind of guy that would have stood up and, what are you guys all running? God, you're making some racket. Holy moly. And be fine, walk past all of us. Then he'd have walked out to the kitchen and he'd have been like, where's my hot dog? Then there would have been hell to pay then.
Yep.
Yeah, that would have been my dad. He'd have been like, where's the dog? I put 2. Why can't you kids just leave my things alone? We're not touching your dogs, Dad. Why is he got the window open? That'd have been my dad. He'd have missed the entire thing. It would have been like, How you doing? I'm clueless.
Uh-huh.
I'm clueless, and I'm missing 2 dogs.
I just remember my brother and I just standing there for a moment, looking at one another, going, "Well, at least it's not us that's in trouble this time."
We didn't do it.
Do it. We were sleeping.
We are officially classified as innocent this time.
Can't touch this. Nah, 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 nah.
Wow.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's one of those moments as a fella that you are getting it from the missus that you really don't have a lot to say.
I know.
Haven't I? Yes, you have. Why were you? You could have killed us up. It's 2 hot dogs, but I don't think I'd have killed you. That the whole house could have went.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was my mom because she was very over dramatic. It was like, "We
uh,
the house on fire. We could be homeless right
it's a
now."
it's a big metal pan. Uh, yeah, it's a big metal pan, and I don't think it was going to melt the pan. The 2 charred hot dogs eventually will stop smoking. Eventually, and I don't think the house was going down. Oh, yeah, no, I did that. Yes, I did. Yeah, okay.
He got it double fold though too, because not only did he almost set the house on fire, according to my mom, but he also used her good pot.
Oh, oh, yeah.
Charred marks of
Mm.
the hot dogs in there.
And if it's a pot that was handed down from Nona, oh,
It was.
oh, oh, that's called damn fool.
Double trouble.
Yeah. That's when you're gonna get that famous. Can I ask you a question? What was you thinking, you damn fool?
And the funny
Oh,
part of all of this is, to this day, my brother still has that pot. He would never throw it away.
perfect hot dog pot.
And on that note, let's go eat. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to a Quickie with Miss B. If you missed the first half of the episode, go back and check it out. It'll teach you what not to cook when you're tired.
Hot dogs in paradise. That's what we're gonna call this one.
Yeah.
Hot dogs in
Paradise. Oh boy.
Well, I got a funny one for you. It wasn't me, but I got involved in it because I knew how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And my other friend, I don't know how he was alive. I actually don't know how. I don't know how he got up in the morning, and I don't know how he functioned. Okay, this was in the heydays of the 70s. Okay, and early 80s, very like 19 AD, and 70s, and the like first 2 years of the 80s. He enjoyed the cornucopia of we lived in Kansas at the time, and there was a lot of grass that grew in Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
wild, and he figured why pay for it when I can just pluck it. So he would partake of the wild herbs, and he was a total stoner. All right, this guy was an absolute stoner. And it was like he'd get up in the morning and start. It's like Cheech and Chong real life. Okay, that's what it was like. And he had a job where he worked at a nursing home, but he only had to work 3 days on, and then he was off for 4, and then he was on for 3. And it was a perfect schedule for him because he didn't have to think about anything for 3 days when he was on, and then when he got home, he didn't have to think about anything for 4 days. And this guy, his eating habits, Christine, were insane.
Yeah.
He didn't need a pan except to warm up whatever came out of the can. But this one particular day, well, he hadn't gone grocery shopping in like a week or whatever, so there was no canned items around. What he found when he looked into he only had like 2 cupboards that had food, and I used to wonder, how do you stay alive?
Oh wow.
How are you? Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, #1 staple in his life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's like they're the easiest thing in the world. that and just heating things up. But then it came to he had to make macaroni and cheese. Now this, when he flipped it over to try to digest the instructions, he found out there were steps. This whole step thing was incredibly confusing to him. Oh, well, for him, there was a whole lot of steps. Because, like, this was back in the days of, like, macaroni and cheese wasn't dealing with idiots like we deal now. Nowadays, you can get a battery, and it'll tell you how to put the battery in. It'll tell you not to swallow the battery. There'll be labels you got to peel off the battery saying, this is not a toy for children. It goes in toys for children. But, none of those labels were there then. You know what I mean? So it was just a box of macaroni and cheese and said, hey, what? Make the macaroni and cheese. Put the water in the pan, put the mac inside the pan, let it roll for a while, dump it out in the sink. Just dump it. It just said strain. I mean, it didn't say put it in the sink or anything. It just said strain. And then, mix with your cheese and all that. That's when I discovered, do you know why all these warning labels exist?
Because of him.
Because of him. Because he called me at like 11 at night and said, hey, if you don't have this strain thing, can you use a spoon with holes in it? I'm like, what? He goes, I got to strain something. Can I use a spoon with holes in it? I was like, in theory, yes. If you have a clue what you're doing, sure. You could strain with a slotted spoon, it's called. He goes, all right, cool, thanks. Apparently, he thought straining it was stirring it. So what he did was he followed the directions all to the T, but also not to the T, because it said to put like 6 quarts of water in a pan. He did. He brought it to a rolling boil. He then dumped in the macaroni. And it said to stir. He did. And he did not stop stirring it. He kept stirring it for like 10 minutes. And then after that time frame, he knows he's supposed to strain it, but he's not sure what is that. So this is back before the days of Google and everything else. And since he didn't have a Encyclopedia Britannica to look up the word strainer, he called me and wanted to know if it was possible to strain something. Of course, I don't know what I'm giving him for directions, right? I'm like, well, in theory, yeah, you could strain with a slotted spoon. So in his opinion, that meant stir it with a slotted spoon now. Like that makes any sense, okay? Well, I've stirred it for 10 minutes. Now I'm going to get a slotted spoon and I'm going to stir it some more because that's straining it. And he did what he thought was straining it. And now he's supposed to add the cheese sauce mixed to it with milk and a stick of butter. Of course, remember, folks, he thinks straining it was stirring it with a slotted spoon. So there's still like, I don't know, 5 quarts of water in there now. And in goes the cheese powder. In goes the milk. And the butter.
Oh my gosh.
And he thinks it's kind of soupy. And it says to warm it up and stir it until thick. So an hour later, he calls. I said, hey, what's going on, man? It's really late. He goes, it's not getting thick. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I called you about the macaroni and cheese. I looked down. I'm like, dude, it's been like an hour and a half. Why are you calling me about macaroni and cheese now? Dude, he says, it's not getting thick. I'm like, what's not getting thick? What are you talking about? He goes, I put all the stuff in, all right? After I strained it, it's not getting thick. I'm like, dude, it gets thick instantly. What are you talking about? He goes, no, it's pretty watery. I went, how is it watery? What are you talking about? He's like, can you come over? Oh, what? He's like, seriously, dude, I'm freaking starving. This just isn't working. You know how to cook, dude. Seriously. Please. Please. I'm like, oh my God, do you have beer? He's like, yeah. Oh, you have, it's all mine when I get there. So I get there, Christine, you know why it's soupy? Because it is soup. It's macaroni and cheese soup. I'm like, what do you mean you strained it? Show me how you strained it. He went, I went like that. That's stirring. He goes, I called you. I said, yeah, you said, could you strain with a slotted spoon? I'm thinking, could you hold a slotted spoon up and drain something out? Yeah, I do it with, green beans, you put green beans in the pan to warm them up. You hold your slotted spoon up there because you don't want to strain them. Yeah, you could. That doesn't mean stir. Are you kidding? He's like, well, how do you do it? I put the lid on the pan. I slide it back about 1/8 of an inch and I dump it out and go, there we go. There's a strainer. That's a strainer. He goes, oh, dump it out. I'm like, yeah, that's, okay. Yeah. Strain the water does not mean stir with a slotted spoon. I'm like, dude, I literally remember looking at him going, how are you alive? And then, no joke, he opens a beer, he hands it to me, he goes, you feel like macaroni and cheese? I'm not eating that. He goes, no, I got more. And yes, I stood there and made macaroni and cheese. I'm like, you better watch. You better watch. And that's my story of my buddy Alan trying to make macaroni and cheese.
And on that note, I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat.
As long as it's not mac and cheese, I'm